I'm embarrassed, on some level, to still hold on to our memories. It's not because of anything you did or because of who you are, but because I'm the one who stayed behind in this strange emotional limbo. I'm the one who lived through the aftermath while trying to keep a grasp on something that no longer exists. It feels almost irrational to hold on to our past after all this time, yet I can't let go. Normally, I'm good at moving forward, reconnecting with people, and finding closure, but with you, it's been so different. There's a part of me that's always been open with my emotions, but when it comes to you, I'm terrified. I'm scared of being this vulnerable, scared of what might happen if I bare my heart completely, and what that might mean for me, or for you. I often think about that moment when we parted ways. How I didn't look back. You might have seen that as indifference, but the truth is, I was so afraid of what I was feeling that I couldn't even bear to turn around. It was fear, pure, raw fear, that kept me walking forward without so much as a glance over my shoulder. Fear of how much I cared, how much I would miss you, and how much of myself I was leaving behind. You might have thought I didn't care at all, but the reality is that I cared so much it terrified me. The intensity of my feelings made it easier to shut down than to confront them head-on. Afterward, we tried to remain friends, like nothing had really changed. I remember us gaming together, trying to keep things light and casual. You brought me Peach Black Hag, and in those small moments, it was almost like nothing had shifted between us. But underneath the surface, everything had changed. I didn't tell you how I truly felt because I feared that opening up would only bring more pain, pain for you, pain for me. I thought that by staying silent, I was protecting us both, but in hindsight, I realized I was only postponing the inevitable. When we broke up, I told you that I needed to find myself. At the time, I said it as a way to make sense of things, to justify why we had to part ways. But as time passed, I began to understand how true that statement really was. I did need to find myself. I was lost in so many ways, unsure of who I was or what I wanted out of life. There was a version of me that desperately hoped we would find our way back to each other someday. That hope still lingers in my heart, even after all these years. But as much as I wished for us to be together again, I knew deep down that I wasn't ready. I wasn't the person you needed me to be yet. The truth is, if I had married you back then, if we had taken that step without addressing all the underlying issues, I think we would have crumbled. Instead of fixing the problem, we would have slowly disintegrated, falling apart bit by bit until there was nothing left. I couldn't do that to you. I couldn't drag you down with me as I tried to piece myself together. So, I made the difficult choice to walk away, even though every fiber of my being wanted to stay. Over the years, I've worked on myself. I've grown in ways I didn't think were possible back then. I've gone to therapy, confronted my anxiety, and faced the parts of myself that I once tried to hide. I want to tell you all about it, about the progress I've made, about the person I'm becoming. I want to show you how I've changed, how I'm no longer the same person who walked away from you all those years ago. But at the same time, I can't help but feel selfish. Is it fair for me to come back into your life now, after all this time, just to show you how I've grown? Is it right for me to ask for your attention when I wasn't ready to give mine when it mattered the most? Even though so much time has passed, I've never stopped loving you. That's the hardest part of all of this. We don't even know each other anymore, not really, and yet my feelings for you have never faded. It's as if they've been frozen in time, waiting for a moment that might never come. I wonder if you even think about us anymore. Do you ever look back and wonder what could have been? Or am I the only one still holding on to these memories? I fear that it's just me, that I'm the only one still tangled up in the past while you've moved on with your life. I've been torn over this for years now. I've tried to let go, to move on, but no matter how hard I try, I can't seem to shake these feelings. I trust my emotions, I know what I feel is real, but I'm terrified of what you might say if I ever shared this with you. You deserve only the best, and I know that. That's part of what makes this so difficult. Even if it makes no sense, even if it's irrational, I'm still scared to let you down. I don't want to disappoint you, and maybe that's why I've kept all of this inside for so long. Because as much as I want to reach out, to reconnect, and to tell you everything, I'm still afraid that after all this time, I'm still not enough. Never allow someone to treat you poorly just because you love them. Love should be a mutual exchange of respect, care, and kindness, not a one-sided sacrifice where you find yourself losing more than gaining. It's hard to accept, but sometimes the person you love doesn't value you in the way you deserve. When that happens, the most loving thing you can do for yourself is to accept the reality and move on. Holding on to someone who was able to let go of you without a second thought only prolongs your suffering. It's okay to feel the weight of your emotions, to feel like you're breaking, but remember, a broken heart doesn't define who you are, it's simply a chapter in your life, one filled with lessons, growth, and ultimately healing. In life, we meet people, fall in love, create memories, and share dreams. But love doesn't always have a happy ending. Sometimes, despite all the beauty we create with another person, we are left with an empty heart at the end. It's in these moments of loss that we begin to doubt ourselves, questioning why we trusted someone who proved to be untrustworthy. We wonder what we did wrong, what we could have done differently. But dear broken heart, you don't need to shoulder the burden of guilt for someone else's choices. You're not responsible for their inability to cherish you. At this moment, you are likely overwhelmed with emotions, grief, anger, sadness, confusion. Let them out. Let them flow freely, whether through tears or anger. You may feel like you should be strong, that you need to control your emotions, but the truth is, the more you try to suppress them, the heavier your heart will feel. Let yourself experience the pain fully because it's the only way you'll be able to release it. Emotions, after all, are just temporary. They ebb and flow like waves, and while they may feel overpowering now, they won't last forever. It's perfectly okay to not be okay. You're allowed to hurt. You're allowed to feel like everything is falling apart because sometimes life is like that, messy, painful, and overwhelming. But here's the thing, this is not the end of your story. One day, everything will turn out better than you could have imagined. The pain you're feeling now will become a distant memory, a scar that reminds you of your strength and resilience. Those who hurt you have moved on with their lives, living comfortably while you're left to pick up the pieces. But why should their actions keep you in a state of suffering? There's a lesson in every heartbreak, even though it's hard to see it in the midst of the pain. But one thing is certain, continuing to dwell on your injuries will only make them worse. Don't play with your emotional wounds, don't keep reopening them with thoughts of what could have been. Leave them alone, let them heal. Don't get lost in this moment of pain because that moment is fleeting, even if it doesn't feel like it. What you need right now is not more self-blame or endless questions of why, but someone who can remind you that it's okay not to be okay. Sometimes, we all need to fall apart. It's only in our breaking that we begin to rediscover who we truly are. When everything feels shattered, we're forced to look at ourselves more closely, to understand our own needs, desires, and limits. And that's a good thing. No one else can heal your wounds if you aren't willing to heal them yourself. You have to make the decision to let go, to allow time and patience to do their work. Yes, your heart may not be the same again, heartbreak changes us, but time will heal the pain, maybe not today or tomorrow, but one day, it will fade. the hurt will lose its power over you, and you'll find yourself again, perhaps stronger than you were before. You can't change what has already happened. You can't rewrite the past, no matter how much you wish you could. And so, there's no use in stressing over what you cannot control. The key to moving forward is learning to let go. Release the past, release the people who didn't value you, and release the pain that you've been carrying. Never allow someone to treat you poorly just because you love them. Accept that to some people, you're not as important as they are to you, and that's okay. It's not a reflection of your worth, but of theirs. Stop fighting for someone who was okay after losing you. They've shown you who they are, and now it's time to move on. Dear broken heart, remember that we are all imperfect human beings, and part of being human is experiencing a wide range of emotions. So, sometimes, it's really okay if you're not okay. Healing takes time, and time will come. You will find yourself again, and when you do, you'll realize that you're stronger, wiser, and more capable of love, both for others and, more importantly, for yourself.